Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Our Home Ground. I've been gone for a couple of weeks. I've been traveling a ton. I had a family wedding, and then I was visiting other families. So I have not been recording the pod, but I have been watching a ton of soccer. And so there are so many things to talk about. But I have finally done the thing that I've been saying for weeks that I was going to do, which is arrange for guests to come on the podcast. So I might not talk about all the things that you would expect me to talk about today because I want to talk about them with my friends because I think a lot of these things are a lot more fun to talk about with someone than just me here yapping about it. And I have some wild opinions sometimes, so I need someone to check me. And so hopefully I'll have some people coming on, some new friends, new to the pod friends, some returning guests, hopefully. So I have gotten my life in order in these 2 weeks that I've been gone. Maybe that's a bold statement, but I've tried. And so I'm going to try to get some people back on because I personally think that's way more fun. So, all of that being said, we will speak briefly today about two things. One, the Champions League final, because obviously that I'm sure will come up again. Elements, at least from the Champions League final, will come up again with other people because such a big game, such a huge thing. And then we're also going to chat a little bit about World Sevens, and just like all of that because I'm obsessed with it. Just the concept, the content, all of the things. So we'll start with the Champions League final, which played on the 23rd of May. And it was Barcelona versus Lyon. They played in Oslo, Norway. Barcelona beat Lyon 4-0 in the Champions League final. It was crazy. There are so many things to talk about the game. It was unbelievable for so many different reasons. I am really bad. I think I've said this before, really bad at watching as a neutral. But I actually found this game I was much more neutral than I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be cheering for Lyon because Lindsey Heaps, the captain of the U.S. women's national team, plays for Lyon. And so I really wanted her to have this sort of magical fairy tale ending at Lyon as she's coming back to play in the NWSL. Probably starting in July because the NWSL is off for the next month. But that's not that wasn't meant to be. I was gonna say it's not gonna happen. It didn't happen. Her team lost 4-0. But there are a couple of individuals that I want to highlight. The first player that I want to highlight, and she ended up getting, I forget what it's called, but breakout star of the season kind of thing, is Lily Yohannes. She is also an American who plays for the U.S. women's national team. She's a midfielder. She and Lindsey Heaps started in the midfield together and are really good friends. And I think that's really cute because Lily Yohannes is 18 years old and Lindsey Heaps is 31 or 32, maybe even now. Really cute, it's like big sister, little sister, mother daughter-ish kind of relationship. And they both get really emotional when they talk about them not playing together at Lyon anymore. So all of that. But I just thought nope. I thought Lily Yohannes was unbelievable. I thought she played a great game. Overall, just is so fun to watch. She's so skillful and quiet about it. I don't know if she's quieter about it than others. She's not super flashy. And so I love watching her play. And on the biggest stages, she proved that she's got it. And so I really loved that. I actually think that substitution, Lily Hannes subbed off and Corbin Schrader subbed on. And I really believe that that substitution sums up the difference between Lyon and Barcelona because the midfielder that Barcelona subbed on was Aitana Bonmati. And it's just, though Lyon is a powerhouse and does have some of the best players in the world, they just don't have the depth and the strength that Barcelona has. And we had tons of questions going into this Champions League season of if Barcelona was going to have the depth, going to have the strength, going to be able to do it to win the Champions League and the league and all the cups and play all the games, whatever. They did it. They got the quadruple. So, that was really interesting. So that I think is my sort of biggest takeaway from the game is the substitutions that Lyon made were just not anywhere near the caliber that Barcelona made. Barcelona subbed on Claudia Pina, Aitana Bonmati, and Kika Nasre. And Lyon's subs are incredible. So it's so crazy to be like, they're just not good enough because they subbed on Katoto, Chawinga, and Schrader. Three also incredible players, but just not on the same level. Sorry, they just aren't, and Barcelona just had it. It was 0-0 at halftime. So the first half, I actually thought Lyon played a fantastic game, and I was like, this is interesting. This is really interesting. And then Barcelona, as they do, kind of ran away with it, but not really until the very end. It was a close game. Ewa Pajor scored her first goal in the 55th minute. That girl is inevitable. She is going to score so many goals all the time. And I was so impressed. And then 15 minutes later, she scored another goal. So then Barcelona was up 2-0. Then Salma Paralluelo scored in the 90th and 93rd minute. And one of those goals I just thought was unbelievable. Selflessness from Ewa Pajor. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about. Ewa Pajor was on 2 goals, and there was like a 2v2 situation, I think. Guys, it's been like a week and a half since this game, and I didn't write this down. I just wrote down Ewa Pajor unselfishness. I remember it so vividly, but I don't remember if it was Salma Paralluelo's first goal or her second. Either way, Ewa Pajor is sitting on a brace, could have a hat trick in a Champions League final, and she would have had a decent shot, but Salma Paralluelo was wide open, and so she laid it off to her. And they were up at least 2-0. I think it might have been her first goal. They were up at least 2-0. And so the fact Ewa Pajor could have shot it. It's not like they needed a goal. They were fine. She could have shot it. She could have gone for that hat trick, but she cared so much more about like scoring another goal than getting a hat trick. Her team scoring was way more important to her than getting the hat trick, and that was just so obvious. And it feels like that sums her up as a player, and that's why she's so good, because she is willing to be unselfish, and so you can't give up on the other player, because there are some strikers or attackers who they're going to go to goal every time. You don't know that about Ewa Pajor. She might lay it off to the teammates, so it makes defenders not be able to fully commit to her because you have to cover. She's so good. That's all I have to say. Interestingly, I think this was her 6th Champions League final. 5th? I think this was her 5th Champions League final, and this was the first one that she had won. Crazy. She'd lost with Wolfsburg, she'd lost with Barcelona, and then finally she won with Barcelona this year. So I was so happy for her, and you could just see it when the final whistle blew. She just fell to the floor, like sobbing, like on her knees. Just the gratitude, the like disbelief was just unbelievable. And there was somebody asked Aitana Bonmati, what'd you say to her before the game? Or what were the conversations before the game for Ewa Pajor, knowing that she's played in so many Champions League finals and never won? And Aitana was like, I just told her, don't worry, we'll get it across the line today. And then she scored the first 2 goals, Ewa Pajor did. So cool. So yeah, just so impressed with Ewa Pajor. She is unbelievable. She was the Golden Boot winner for the Champions League this season. There was like a curse on the Golden Boot winner. The Golden Boot winner had been, if your team was in the final and you were gonna win the Golden Boot, your team lost. That happened at least 2 years in a row. I know Claudia Pina got it last year. There's a picture of her posing with the Golden Boot. Obviously very sad because Barcelona lost to Arsenal in the final on the 24th of May, 2025. Nobody ever forget that. But not this year. Ewa Pajor went into the game tied with Alessia Russo and then scored 2 goals. So she won with, I think, 11 goals on the year, which is just unbelievable. The Lindsey Heaps of it all, I already talked about it a little bit. She's a world-class player. Her mentality is second to none. She left absolutely everything out on that field, like she does every time that she plays. And I am sad for her, and she was clearly heartbroken. But again, Alexis Putellas gave her a big hug and was talking to her. And that happened 2 years ago when Barcelona beat Lyon in the final as well. So just that level of game, recognizing game kind of situation, just the respect between them. Lots of people stopped Lindsey and congratulated her on her career and reminded her how good she is. And Kelly O'Hara was there. The CBS crew was live in person for their coverage of the Champions League final, and Lindsey got to hug Kelly after. And they asked Kelly, what'd you say to her? And I just told her how proud of her I was and that she should be so proud of herself, which I think is such a special thing to say to someone because it's like, not only am I proud of you, but you should be proud of you. You have held yourself so well. What you have done at Lyon has been undeniable. What she's done on the US women's national team has been undeniable. She is such an undeniable player. Don't let this define you. And Lindsey never would, but there we are. So that's all of that. The trophy celebration, I couldn't help but notice the Barcelona players looked very comfortable with that Champions League trophy. I remember thinking last year, not to always make it about Arsenal winning the Champions League, but they did win the Champions League last year on the 24th of May, 2025. Like everybody needs to remember that. Anyways, um last year when Arsenal like got their medals, you like walk past the trophy and like, most people just like tapped it a little or like kind of kissed it, but like we're kind of awkward about it. You know who wasn't awkward with it? Mariana Caldente. She's like, that's my trophy. She owns that trophy. Anyways, so she was the only one who like, wasn't awkward about it. Everyone else like, seemed really awkward about it. When Barcelona, after they got their medals and they were walking past the trophy, the girls were like hugging it and kissing it, and like they seemed so chill about it. Like they were clearly so much more comfortable with that trophy than the Arsenal players. And it was just really funny to me. It was something that made me giggle. That I was like, you know what? Good for them. They are just such a fantastic team. They are so good and they're fun to watch. And I think that's half the reason I was ended up being a neutral in the game. I thought I was going to cheer for Lyon and then just like, couldn't. I really was neutral. I wanted Lyon to do well, but I wasn't mad that Barcelona won. It was one of those things. But and then last thing I have to say about it is just the Barcelona celebrations were so funny. Patrick Guijarro went live on the field on Instagram, was on Instagram live, like running around the field celebrating. I love when players do that, especially for those of us who have to watch from home. It just like, gives you a glimpse into the atmosphere, clearly much closer than anybody in the stadium as well, because you're like on the pitch with them and she was running around and she was hugging and kissing everyone on the cheek, the Spanish thing. And it was just so fun that it just felt so like pure joy to me. And it wasn't like maybe it was a little gloaty. I think women should gloat more, but that's for another day. How we allow women to celebrate or don't allow women to celebrate. I think they should gloat way more, but that's just me. She was just like, genuinely celebrating. And what I love about, and I feel this way about Arsenal and Barcelona and probably other teams, but those two in particular, they genuinely all seem like such good friends. And so she genuinely just felt like she was celebrating with her best friends. That's so fun. And to get a glimpse into that moment, it was only a couple of minutes long. She wasn't on that long. It was just cute and I loved it. And then there was another live. Alexia Putellas went live, I think. I actually didn't catch that one live. I was on family vacation. But Patrick Guijarro went live while I was still watching the coverage. I'm watching her run around the field and then like, seeing her on camera running around the field. It was so funny. Anyways, but Alexia went live while they were getting, maybe it was Clara Sarah Jordi. I think is how you say her name. Probably not right. I don't speak Spanish. But they were like getting ready to go out together and they were like doing their makeup. And Alexia like went off camera and like put her concealer on. And then Clara turned to the camera to like show her and to like, see Alexia Putellas doing her own makeup with like, concealer dot around her face just felt like such a but like a glimpse behind the scenes, like a peek behind the curtain. I think that's what I was trying to say, in a way that we would never normally see. And I think I've made comments before about how I used to feel like Alexia was cold and aloof and all the things, and I don't think that's true at all. I think she just is super private and has been like chipping away at that and letting people in a little bit. And that live was just so cute because, again, Alexia and Clara, I don't know how you say her name actually with the in the Spanish pronunciation. They just have such a again big sibling, little sibling, mother daughter kind of dynamic that's so cute and so sweet. And so that was really fun to see. And then Patry came in, like the three of them being the midfield that started and all of it. And I think there's so much more to that with Alexia leaving Barcelona, which if you're just hearing this, Alexia Putellas is not staying at Barcelona. She announced it after the Champions League. Nobody knew then, but we all know now, which I will be talking about later with people who are big Alexia Putellas fans because I think that'll be more fun talking about her legacy at Barcelona and speculating about where she might go, or at that point we might know where she's going. All of it's super interesting. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the Champions League. I know I've said this before, but I love a celebration. I love a celebration. Any team that's celebrating, I just eat it up. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing ever. I even loved watching Man City celebrate, winning the league. 3 times they had a celebration about it. The night that they won it when Arsenal tied Brighton, and then when they got the trophy, and then they had a trophy lift also. And then I'm recording this on Monday, the 1st of June, but yesterday they won the FA Cup, and seeing all that, those celebrations, I just love when a team celebrates. It's my favorite thing ever. So there's that. That's the Champions League of it all. But now I want to talk about World Sevens because this is a competition that I'm like obsessed with. And I want to talk about, I'm obsessed with the aura of it, I think is what I want to say. So, what the heck is World Sevens? Great question. I literally found all of this information on their website, so you could easily go read that, or you can just listen to this because I'm just going to present it to you right now. I literally handwritten notes. So here we go. World Sevens, what the heck is it? It is a 3-day tournament with a sharp 7v7 format on a half-sized pitch. So a normal football pitch, they just play on half of it, 7 players on each team, including the goalie. So a goalie and 6 outfield players. They are 30-minute games, 2 15-minute halves with rolling substitutes. The subs are just constantly subbing in and out. It's so fun. You can go back in, come out as many times as you want. There are no limits on the rolling subs. And this tournament is designed specifically for the women's game. And it attempts to spotlight players. It invites players to take the spotlight in really fun ways, allowing them to showcase their individuality, skill, and competitive edge. So, if you are following women's football at all and haven't seen anything about World Sevens, I would be shocked. Some of the biggest influencers in the English soccer community were there and have been at multiple of the different iterations because this was the 3rd iteration of World Sevens last May in Portugal. Then there was one in December in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the US. And then this one was in London at Brentford Stadium. I don't know if that's proper London. Sorry if I'm not allowed to call that London, but whatever. I am. But what I think is so interesting is who is like running this. And I assume that they're running it, but there's like a player council. But the people who are running this are a team of experienced business professionals and players slash former players. And the mission of World Sevens is to be an undeniable force in the game of football that ignites growth and equity, delivers electrifying experiences, and connects global communities. I love it. And what I love more is this player advisory council. It's 5 people, 5 incredibly iconic people. First being Tobin Heath, who is a 2-time World Cup winner and 2-time gold medalist. Again, this I just got off the website, so if you're mad at me talking about how the U.S. women's national team wins a lot, it's on the website. Yeah, so Tobin Heath, 2 times World Cup and 2-time Olympic gold medalist. She is known as one of the most creative players to ever play the game. Her foot skills, all of that were just absolutely unbelievable. Her career was cut short because of a knee injury, career-ending knee injury. Actually, so tragic. She had this weird kind of pain during practice one day, had been perfectly fine. So she thought, had this weird kind of pain one day, told the trainer about it, went and got it checked out, went and got scans, and found out she had a career ending knee injury. Had like 4 experimental surgeries to try to fix it. Anyways, I could go on and on about Tobin Heath. I love that girl. Big Tobin Heath fan. Anyways, so she's on the player advisory council and has just been a huge advocate for players having fun while they're playing the game and how important it is to just love the beautiful game of football and all of that. That's very much her approach to the game. Okay, I got a work call during that. So I don't know where I was, but I'm just going to pick back up because I'm pretty sure I was talking about Tobin Heath and it was probably best that I got cut off because I need to be cut off when it comes to her. All that to say, having her creative mindset about women's football in the leadership group for this to me feels really important and impactful and probably has a strong shaping of like all of the fun and all the things that exist in it. The other former U.S. Women's National Team player who's on this player council is Kelly O'Hara, also a 2 times World Cup winner. She is an Olympic gold medalist and now a media personality. She works with CBS Sports. You guys have definitely heard me talk about her before because she is on the Champions League crew. Again, like a really dynamic, high energy player who is perfect for this kind of role, I feel like. Anita Asante is also on this. She is a former Lioness coach and is now a broadcaster as well. Having somebody who has a little bit of coaching experience and the player experience, I think, is so interesting here. Caroline Sager, a two-time World Cup winner, two times European champion, bronze medalist, and a three-time World Cup bronze medalist. Holy decorated career, is also on this advisory council, and also the DJ. I think she DJ'd at the London World Sevens event, which is just so fun. The fact that there's a DJ, right? Like all of it is so good. And then the last person is Laura Georges. That's definitely not how you say her name. She's the ex-general secretary of the French Football Federation. So definitely a French name that I'm just not pronouncing right. And that's okay. She's also a speaker and a football pundit as well. So that's the player council. There's two co-founders outside of this and also a team of I think 5 other business and executive leaders who are like running the logistics of it all. But this player advisory council, these 5 people just have built something so special and I love it so much. So how does this dang tournament work? So like I said, it is a 3-day tournament, so it's so quick. The teams for the tournament, so we'll start there. Who is playing in this tournament? The teams for the tournament are exclusively established professional clubs and their active players. So the same players who are playing in European Championships are playing in World Sevens. Like Maya Letitia, Ella Toon. I'm trying to think who else. Chelsea, like Alyssa Thompson, Ellie Carpenter, Kira Walsh, right? Kira Walsh is a freaking Euros champion, starting 6 for the Lionesses, playing in World 7. So it is the players right now are playing in these tournaments. So that is so fun. If you're American, you're probably aware of TST, the soccer tournament. It's also a 7-a-side. And I do think it probably had some inspiration for this World Sevens event, but World Seven TST is like non-current professionals. Some retired players, some like college situations, some like former college players tend to play in that. That's like an amateur kind of thing or post-professional kind of thing. World Sevens is the professional players right now. And it's so fun. We'll talk about some of the previous ones and like what teams were involved in a second. But the format of the tournament is that there are 2 groups of 4 teams. So all 3 tournaments have had only 8 teams. There is hope that these tournaments will grow and more teams will be a part of it. But the first 2 have been 8 teams. So 2 groups of 4 with 2 days of group stage play. Everybody plays everybody, the round robin kind of thing. And then on day 3, the top 2 teams of each group make the knockout stage. So then on the 3rd day, there's a semifinal and a final. Like I said, each match is 2 15-minute halves with unlimited rolling subs and no offside rule, which I think is really interesting and really fun. And everybody's like, really, a tournament with no offside rule? And Stina Blackstenius didn't play in it, which all poking fun. Stina stretches back lines. She is so important. And I love that sometimes she's offside. It's okay. It makes her good at what she does. Anyways, the first iteration of this tournament was in Estoril, Portugal, which is near Lisbon, I think. I thought it was in Lisbon. Turns out it wasn't. It was just before the Champions League final last year, and the Champions League final was in Lisbon. A lot of people who are going to the Champions League final went out early for this tournament. A lot of like fans and media personalities and stuff like that. So fun. The clubs that participated in the original iteration, I don't even, iteration doesn't feel right because it hasn't changed. The original, the inaugural, that's the word I'm trying to use. The inaugural World Sevens tournament were Ajax, AS Roma, Bayern Munich, Benfica, FC Rosengard, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Paris Saint-Germain, PSG. Bayern beat Man United 2-1 in the final of that tournament. And the vibes winners of that tournament were absolutely Bayern and Man United. They had some of the most iconic moments, and that's what I love the most about World Sevens is the personality of the teams, of the individuals that you get to see is so freaking iconic, and I love it so much. So there are like player walkouts, and then also the goal celebrations are so good. Some of them are individual player walkouts, some of them are team walkouts, and they're just so good. The inaugural year had a lot of good stuff. I didn't go back to look at all of it, so these are just the ones that are coming to mind. But Man United tied the bibs together and then did a double Dutch one for an entrance. There were dancing entrances. They were just so funny. And then the goal celebrations were so good. The one that I will never forget is Tuva Hansen. At the time was playing for Bayern Munich. She scored a goal and then took her shirt off and swung it around, ran over to her, not the player bench, but her teammates who were not eligible to play in the tournament. We're all standing in like a box on the other side of the pitch. She ran over to them, jumped, sat, and was like being held by Lena Oberdorf. And then as she was coming back onto the pitch, she got a yellow card because she took her shirt off. She blew a kiss to the refs, and it was the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life because the refs are also like in for the like funny and silly. They do entrances just like so funny, and I'm just utterly obsessed with it. So that was the first year, inaugural year, not year because they happen twice a year, but the inaugural version of the tournament was there in Portugal. The second, I don't know what to call this. Second time the tournament took place, the second tournament was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in early December of 2025. The teams that played in that were AFC Toronto, Club America, which is in Mexico, Club Tigres, which is in Mexico. AFC Toronto's in Canada, if you didn't know that. Deportivo from Colombia, Flamengo from Brazil, Kansas City Current from the US, Nacional from Uruguay, and San Diego Wave from the US. It was also wild. The players didn't come out of a tunnel. There was like a stage for them to be on. They were dancing, they were running, they were jumping on each other. They were doing all kinds of funny stuff, and I loved it. And San Diego Wave beat Tigres 3-0 in the final. The other thing that they do at these tournaments, I don't know exactly how it works because it doesn't get as much coverage, but at the end of the game, players get coins to give out to the best fans. So there's a lot of fan interaction. It's so cool and so fun. There's so much fan interaction. I'm obsessed with it. And then this version of the tournament, the third iteration, I don't know. Why can't I think of the word that would be right for this? You guys are probably listening to me screaming the word, and I just can't think of it. Anyways, edition, the third edition. I think that's a better word than iteration because it's not like they're not changing it. I'm pretty sure it's been the same every time. Third edition of this tournament was only teams from England, and it took place May 28th through 30th, 2026. It was actually teams only from the WSL, except that Leicester City played, and they actually are in the WSL 2 now. They got relegated, but when they joined, that wasn't known yet. So the clubs that played: Aston Villa, Chelsea, Everton, Leicester City, London City Lionesses, Manchester United, Tottenham, and West Ham. Manchester City could not play and Brighton could not play because they were playing in the FA Cup final, which was on the May 31st. So they could not participate, which was a bummer because Man City would have been really fun to have. But anyways, in the semifinal, Chelsea beat Aston Villa 8-2 and United beat Everton 5-2. I really would like to give so many props to Everton in this tournament. We'll get to that in a minute. But Chelsea won the tournament, not surprisingly, but they beat Man United in the final 5-6, 6-5. Chelsea scored 6 goals and Man United scored 5 goals. That's crazy. So many goals, so fun, so fast, so silly. They're just being silly with each other. Jess Park and Aggie Beaver Jones and Ella Toon. There's just so much silliness that's happening amongst everyone. I'm so just in love with it. But I want to say the vibes winner is either Chelsea or Everton. That's who I'm giving my vibes winner to. And I think Everton was like a bit of a surprise, underdog story, one might say, because their entrances were some of the funniest things I've ever seen. So they didn't start with the first one that was so iconic was they had one of their players walk out with a ball under her shirt like she was pregnant, like she was giving birth, showing up to the hospital. That's the vibe that it was. And then two of their players ran out with the med kits on them that they had borrowed from their own physio staffs, ran out, and they gave birth to the ball. And there were these pictures stuck to the ball. And at the time, I didn't know what they were. Turns out, this is actually so cute and so sweet. It was pictures of the players who were ineligible to play in the tournament, playing with them, whether it was for injury or some other reason that they couldn't play. I thought that was so cute that they birthed them, brought them out on the field with them. It was so cute and so sweet. And then their other iconic entrance was for the semifinal. All of them were wearing their black anthem jacket, I guess. I don't know if it was really an anthem jacket or what it was, but it was black. They brought out a suitcase that they carried out like a coffin, like a giant suitcase that had someone in it. And then Hannah Blundell, I think that's her name, got out of it and she had a Man United kit on because she's on loan to Everton from Man United. So it was like her funeral and she had a Man United kit on and she took that. Man United let her borrow the kit man from Man United, gave it to her at World Sevens, let her borrow it, and she took it off, and then everybody went crazy when she had her Everton shirt on. That's so funny. And they were so creative and so funny about it. So big shout out to Everton. And then Chelsea's vibes are just unmatched. And honestly, between Aggie Beaver Jones, Ellie Carpenter, Alyssa Thompson, Vika Kaptein, Myra Ramirez, CO. I was gonna give a top, but that's a starting seven and with no goalie. Anyways, they were so funny. So the very first one, there was like different dancing situations that happened. Vika Kaptein and Ellie Carpenter did the worm. Kira Walsh just walked out. So did Lauren James. That was funny, but like, super on brand. And then CO Newskin and Myra Ramirez walked out together. And Myra put her head in between Sio's legs and then threw her back, and Sio did a backflip and landed. Hello? That was crazy. So that was one of them. Another one, they did a bowling entrance. So Sio, and I don't remember who she was with. We're doing maybe Vika Captine. We're doing somersaults over each other, holding each other's legs, doing somersaults. So it looked like a bowling ball. And then they knocked everyone over. And then Alyssa Thompson stood there and was like the last pin to go down. Very cute. Then people are asking Sonia Bonpastor if she would get involved in a celebration. And she was like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And they carried her out. She was laying like crowd surfing. She was like laying on them, not like sitting up like a queen, literally laying on her stomach and just like, waving at the crowd. So funny. And then finally, Chelsea for the final had the most iconic walkout of all time. They did the mannequin challenge and they reenacted two very memorable moments. A lot of things are going on, but two I'll bring your attention to. Ellie Carpenter was grabbing Alyssa Thompson's hair, like Katie McCabe may or may not definitely did in the Champions League quarterfinal. And then Lucy Bronze, who was not eligible to play in the tournament, was in her normal people clothes, but joined the entrance and was laying on the ground and was frozen in the position like she was strapping her own leg, like she did at the Euros in the game against Sweden. So funny. I will give honorable mention to Man United though, because their entrances were really good too, but I think they just made me so nervous because they were doing like cheer stunts with Jess Park. She stood on the shoulder of Maya. Nope. Why can't I think of her name? Millie Turner? God. Millie Turner and one of her other teammates stood on their shoulder and they were like walking with her, standing on them. Then they did another pyramid with Jess Park really high, and everybody was just like, Serena, look away. Serena Wiegman, if you're watching, don't. But then their final, they had Mark Skinner, their coach, wearing a white robe, technically dressed as Bad Bunny. And then all the girls were holding little potted plants of like grass. Very funny. Very cute, very funny. So honorable mention to them. But yeah, World Sevens is just so fun. There's so much personality. The social media content was unbelievable. Like all the clubs just got to have so much fun. The girls got to have so much fun. And all the posts that all the players have done since then have just been like, that was so fun. And that's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be silly and it's supposed to be like all the things. I would be remiss to mention that there was an injury at World Sevens that was very sad. Tuva Hansen has an ACL injury. It's been weird. West Ham has announced that she had an ACL injury. They didn't say she tore her ACL. So I don't actually know exactly what's happening there, but then she posted on her Snapchat that she was supposed to get more information today about surgery and whatever. So I'm assuming she tore her ACL. I'm assuming she's out for the ACL period. So very sad. But otherwise, all the vibes were so up and so fun. So anyways, I think that's all I have to say for this week. This was so fun. Champions League and World Sevens. What a time. I have a lot of fun things lined up, hopefully. So it might just be me again next week if I can't get anybody on in time, but I'm working on it and it is coming. So I can't wait, and I'll catch you guys next week.